So I'd love to hear some of the new evidence or uncoverings or things that don't add up that that people could consider.
Well, let's look at the things the New Yorker came up with in their article, and subsequently in their podcast. This is not an exclusive list of all the exculpatory evidence. There's much, much more, but these are things that are quite easy to understand and that will shock people. The primary thing that came out of Heidi Blake's investigation was when she spoke to a police officer called Nick Milbank, who had been manning the 999 lines at Essex Police Headquarters that night. And we had found some years ago an action report from the subsequent investigation that was done before Jeremy's 2002 appeal by the Met Police. And in that investigation, they referred to an action about a 999 call that was received from White House Farm, which is where the tragedy took place, at 6:09 in the morning. Now, when this was challenged by the defence before the 2002 appeal, Essex Police told them that, this report was just a misunderstanding and that there hadn't been a 999 call, they'd just been monitoring the open line into the house. So the defence accepted that and didn't raise the point of appeal. But Heidi Blake tracked down Nick Milbank and spoke to him and asked him, did you take a call at 6:09 in the morning from White House Farm? And much to everyone's amazement, he said, oh, yeah, of course I did. Yeah. And then went on to describe the circumstances in which he took that call, what he heard on the call. And even more worryingly, he then said that the statement that Essex Police had produced in 2002, which said that all this was just a misunderstanding, and which supposedly had been signed by Nick Milbank, the actual statement was typed and not signed by hand. It was just a typed up signature. He shared, I've never seen this statement at all. This has nothing to do with me. It's not the type of English I use. I never sign my name, Nicholas Milbank. I always use my initials, NR Milbank. So basically, he totally disowned this statement that had previously dismissed this whole issue. Now, if there was a call, as Nick Milbank said there was at 6:09 from within White House Farm, that clearly means somebody was alive in the farm at that time. Jerry at that point was standing outside surrounded by literally dozens of police officers. So there is no way that he could have committed the shooting and somebody was still alive inside the house just after 6:00 in the morning. So that was the first piece of evidence that Heidi came up with. But that had an extraordinary effect in terms of when that was put to the CCRC, rather than the CCRC themselves going to talk to Nick Milbank and saying, well, obviously what you said is very interesting. Is it true? Could we check it? Are you sure about this? They handed the whole matter over to Essex Police, which is really jaw-droppingly extraordinary. So they got Essex Police to mark their own homework, and they hot-footed it round to Nick Milbank and got him to sign a statement saying, oh, well, I didn't know I was talking to a journalist, and just trying to muddy the waters, basically. Although he never actually denied saying anything that was quoted in the article or the podcast, but it tried to sort of hint that he'd been misled into saying what he said. So that had a huge impact when that came out in the New Yorker article about 18 months ago. And the whole issue is still at the CCRC. And they initially dismissed it, but on grounds that were, to be honest, quite surreal. So we've gone back to them and said, you really have to take this more seriously. You have to investigate more. And we are hoping that that's what they're doing at the moment. So that was the first thing that Heidi Blake came up with.
So this bit about the 999 call and everything, this is a really good moment to hear some of Michael's pre-recorded, because he couldn't be with us today. It's a really good moment where we could hear something from Michael about his experience, because not only has he read this evidence, but he actually was a BT operator at the time. So let's just tune into a bit of that.
Well, basically, my background career-wise over 4 decades has been as a broadcast journalist, ex-BBC, ex-Sky. I would like to think that I can tell fact from fiction and that it's woven into my DNA that I double-check my facts. A number of years ago, I started looking into Jeremy's case, fully expecting that the facts that I would independently unearth, albeit with the assistance of the Innocence campaign, would actually confirm the conviction. But what I found, to my horror, in fact, was that the opposite was the case. Everything that I was able to unearth pointed towards obvious innocence. And I don't say that lightly. I speak entirely as an independent person when I make that assertion. The other job that I did that I think is highly relevant to the research, which has caused me to conclude that Jeremy did not commit this terrible crime, is my experience from the 1980s as a 100 and, most importantly, a 999 telephone exchange operator. And this, I've been able to apply that industry knowledge to the documentation which exists. And I could say, as a matter of certainty, if only within my own mind, but that counts for something, that there was a 999 call at 6:09 a.m. on the morning of the tragedies from within White House Farm. And what that means is that Jeremy cannot possibly have committed this crime. It's just impossible. I think the thing that gets to me about this case, above most other factors, is the fact that I know how a telephone exchange works. In the 1980s, I was an operator for BT, taking emergency 999 and 100 operator calls. And the police have made certain assertions in relation to the fact that despite the availability of documentation pointing to a 999 call having happened, that in fact something else happened instead. I've been able to apply my industry expertise and the knowledge that I know is easily provable to show that the explanation offered by the police is complete procedural, technical nonsense. I'll park that for a moment, if I may. The reason that the 999 call itself is so significant is that when the 999 call was made at 6:09 a.m. on the morning of the tragedies, the entire farmhouse, White House Farm, was surrounded by armed police, and Jeremy himself had been in the company of police officers outside the farm in the grounds surrounding the property for over 2 hours. And so if that call was made, it cannot have been Jeremy. And you think, well, friends have said to me, so what? There was a 999 call. So what? When police broke in, everybody was found to be dead with near instantly fatal or instantly fatal headshots. There you go. The 999 call makes no difference. No, no, no. The fact that the people found dead in the house, including Jeremy's adoptive sister, Sheila Bamber, all had near instantly fatal or instantly fatal headshots. And the fact that Jeremy is known to have traveled to White House Farm from his cottage in Goldhanger 3 miles away at around about 3:30 or thereabouts proves that it couldn't have been him that made the call. Now, breaking it down, if you put those factors together, how is it that somebody who suffered a fatal headshot right through the brain, Jeremy's adoptive sister Sheila, is then capable 3.5 hours later of picking up the phone within the property and dialing 999? It's, to my mind, physically impossible. So what must have happened is Jeremy is innocent. and Sheila was the killer. At 6:09, she picked up the phone and dialed 999, we believe without saying anything, and then left the line open, off the hook, if you like. As police started to break in, she then took the rifle and ended her own life. And that was the initial police conclusion, that she'd committed suicide after murdering the family. But for reasons that the police have still not been able to credibly elucidate, they moved away from that proposition and went after Jeremy instead.